Speaker, I feel very victimized on behalf of the people of Homa Bay that our views can be truncated to 5 minutes while other delegations have had 15 minutes to convince this House on which direction we should take. On the onset, and under those circumstances, if I'm to speak for 5 minutes, I oppose this motion because I need time to come here and talk on behalf of the people of Homa Bay. And 5 minutes is not going to be adequate for me to speak on behalf of the Gen Zs of Homa Bay and the Gen Zs of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I oppose this motion, and that then should guarantee me an opportunity to come back here and continue my debate. I want to start by sending condolences, personal and on behalf of the people of Homa Bay, to the many families that today are mourning their loved ones. The reality is hitting slowly. Many people are still in denial that the little boys and girls who left their homes yesterday are today sleeping in a morgue. Mr. Speaker, even if it was you, with a teenage or a grown son, 20-year-old, you had breakfast with him in the morning. You told him about the kind of things that you expect and wish for this nation. You reminded him that the Constitution protects him, that he can go and protest, he can go and present petitions to public authorities. Mr. Speaker, you even told him that we've got a reasonable government and we've got a reasonable security force that will ensure that you're protected. And then, Mr. Speaker, you get a call that your son is lying at City Mortuary. Your son is lying in a morgue somewhere in Eldoret. Your son is lying in a morgue in Nakuru. That is the reality we are dealing with, Mr. Speaker. We cannot run away from our constitutional mandate when we have our people lying in morgues, others lying in hospitals, others lying in detention centers. Mr. Speaker, the very least we should do is to call the CS for Interior this afternoon to come to this House to tell us the number of people who were killed yesterday while exercising their constitutional rights. Number two, the CS must tell us the number of people being held incommunicado by the police and other paramilitary forces in this republic. Mr. Speaker, we need to know how many people are in hospitals with gunshot wounds. We cannot go on recess until those questions are answered. Mr. Speaker, we need to be calling some governors, like the governor of Nairobi, to tell us what happened in Nairobi where City Hall was set aflame. Mr. Speaker, I know people are saying that when I call him to the Public Accounts Committee, he will tell me all the records were burnt by Gen Z. When you go to ask him for his academic certificate, he will tell you that it was burnt by Gen Z. We need to put a stop to this nonsense, Mr. Speaker. We cannot go on recess until these issues are resolved. Mr. Speaker, we must put a stop to the arrogance that we are seeing in the ruling class of this country. We must put a stop and make sure that people live within their means and people who have consumed public resources do not come and vomit on our shoes and on our feet. And Mr. Speaker, we know them. Some of them are in this House. Some of them are in the executive. We cannot go on recess until we have held them to account and delivered them to Gen Z for punishment or for necessary action. Of course, action within the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, why do we want to run away from our duty when Parliament sits even when a country is at war? Is it because we don't have lunch? If we don't have lunch, Senator Hamida has always provided meals for us. Is it because we have got broken windows? Mr. Speaker, we cannot lament about broken windows when we have broken limbs and people out there. And we should also stop this blame of Gen Zs. Mr. Speaker, look at our curriculum. What have these children or these adults, new adults, been fed on in the school curriculum? These are the products of the free primary education of Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga. Their curriculum, when it comes to Fasihi and literature, Mr. Speaker, reads as follows. They read The Animal Farm, and it is about injustice. They read Kidagaa Kimemwozea. They read Tumbo Lisiloshiba, Kifo Kisimani, Mstahiki Meya, Mashetani, and Parliament of Alls. Mr. Speaker, that is the recent set book in literature, Parliament of Alls. And then you blame Gen Zs for coming to this parliament, a parliament of alls, a parliament of sellouts, a parliament of turncoats, a parliament that is completely insensitive to them. We are the ones who have fed them this kind of literature, and we are reaping what we sowed at this moment. Mr. Speaker, we cannot go on recess until the president apologizes to the youth of this country. Since when did the hustlers become mutineers? Since when did our hustlers and children become wankers? Mr. Speaker, since when did our Gen Zs, our children, become saboteurs? Since when did they connive to commit treason? Mr. Speaker, the youth and the public and the nation deserves an apology, not the intransigent posture that we saw from President Ruto yesterday. And leadership, Mr. Speaker, sometimes we need to go back to the Bible. Look at the book of Exodus and how God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Not once, not twice, not thrice, but almost 5 times. But eventually God was trying to teach Pharaoh a lesson. Pharaoh William Ruto, God is teaching you a lesson. You have hardened your heart. Your children are in mocks. They are in hospitals. You are calling them criminals. You are calling them saboteurs. Mr. Speaker, even in the hardest of circumstances, God will rescue his people. And God will rescue his children. God will rescue this nation from the clutches of people who do not care about those who put them in office. They care about state dinners in foreign lands. They do not care about the welfare of the people that they're supposed to represent. We cannot go on recess until we call the president, because the Constitution empowers us to call any person, and that includes the president, to come here as a chair of the National Security Committee and to tell us the actions that they are taking to ensure that the cost of living is managed, but also the flagrant abuse of human rights and constitutional rights is also stemmed. Mr. Speaker, we cannot go on recess until the legal committee carries out an inquiry on the circumstances that led to the mess of yesterday. And